You're listening to the North Parkway Podcast, weekly talks designed to help you take the next step in your spiritual journey. You can learn more about our church at northparkway.org. And if these talks are helpful to you, consider using the link in the description to give. Your financial support helps us continue to make great content. All right, well, that's enough intro. Let's get to today's talk. Who all knows what a monkey wrench is? Anybody? Okay. It's not an actual wrench. If you go to Harbor Freight, I need one of those monkey wrenches. They'll have a good laugh, right? It's this idea that if you have an engine, there's a lot of moving parts, and you throw a wrench into the moving parts and the gears, what happens? Right? Breaks down, right? It's an idiom that we use to say to throw a monkey wrench in something is to basically like sabotage an otherwise well-functioning, well-oiled machine. Have any of you guys ever monkey wrenched yourself? Anybody? Yeah. Ever do a lot of hard work only to like ruin it? So years ago, we talked about the holiday season's coming up, Christmas is coming up. Years ago, when money was really tight, we wanted to have a nice dinner for Christmas Eve. And so I got my grandmother's potato and ham soup recipe, and we were eating like the bare minimum, living in a small apartment with the kids, but we wanted to do something special. So we spent a little extra money. We got all of the best ingredients from the grocery store. I spent like a couple hours just cooking all of this stuff from scratch. And we cooked it in the morning, Christmas Eve, because we had Christmas Eve service coming up at church. And I was the music guy, so I had to get there early to practice. So I cooked this delicious soup, and I know if you put a boiling soup into the fridge, it's not good. So I put it in a plastic bowl and I set it out on the counter so it could cool before I put it in the fridge, so that when we went to Christmas Eve service and came back, we could heat up delicious potato and ham soup. Some of you guys know where this is going. Okay. So I did Christmas Eve. It was great. We were gone for many hours. We got back and we're like, man, I am starving. It's time for soup. And I opened up the door to the apartment and I smelled so strongly potato and ham soup. I'm like, man, why does that smell so strong? It's in the fridge. So no. It was not in the fridge. I spent all this money, I spent all this time cooking the soup, but I failed to put it into the fridge, and so instead the potato and ham soup was just lingering on the counter for like 5 hours and getting unsafe food health-wise. And it was especially bad because you guys know, Christmas Eve, nobody is open. Okay? No food options. Do you know what we had? For the boys are too little they probably don't remember. You know what we had for Christmas Eve dinner? Those little rolled tacos and rolled sausage logs from the gas station that are on that was it. That was it. Heartburn for Christmas. Okay? It was so disappointing. Don't miss this. It was so disappointing to put all that work in and to have something awesome and delicious and then ruin it by failing to do one small, simple, easy thing. Today, I want to talk to you about how to develop some monkey wrench repellent in your financial lives. Because many of you have been putting work into building something, and we were trying to do this God's way. We're trying to be wise with our money, and there's a simple mistake that so many Americans make, I've made before, that can actually wreck it all. And so I want to show you what that is and how to avoid it so you don't monkey wrench yourself today. It's part of, it's kind of the conclusion to our series called Making Change. So we've been looking at how to manage stuff and how to go through life where I own stuff and not where stuff owns me. So I want to take a minute to give thanks to Pastor Craig Rochelle and Life Church. They made the video, and they designed all of these graphics, and they told us we could use all of it for free. They are awesome folks down there in Oklahoma. They're the ones that make the Bible app. If you don't have the YouVersion Bible app on your phone, it is awesome. Get it. I read it literally every day. But we boiled these concepts down to some simple phrases so that you could remember, and they come with these neat little graphics out there. So let's see how well we remember from the last couple of weeks. The first one is the idea that less is more. You guys are good at this. Less is more. Better one handful with peace and tranquility than two handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind. And then week 2, we talked about the idea that stress is Gosh, you guys are awesome. Stress is bad. Yes, stress is bad. Stress is bad, and the borrower is slave to the lender. When you take on debt, debt brings stress with it, and stress is a miserable way to live. Then last week, we talked about, kind of like our season of sharing, we talked about how giving is good. Giving is good, right? When you give, the Bible says the world of the generous grows larger and larger, that those who bless others will be abundantly blessed themselves. And this idea that giving is not just good for the folks in Pekin who need socks, but giving is good for you because it reminds you that you have enough, and if you share, you'll still have enough. Okay? Lots of work to build things right and do stuff God's way. And you can, here's the problem. You can believe all of these things and you can do all of these things. And if you don't get this last thing right, you will mess it all up. So I want to show you what this last thing is. It's monkey wrench repellent when you believe this. It's the simple idea that tomorrow matters. Tomorrow matters. Tomorrow matters for a lot of things, but financially, tomorrow matters. In 1967, Charles Hummel coined the term the tyranny of the urgent. Who's heard that before? Anybody? Brand new. Okay, cool. The tyranny of the urgent. Tyranny, like when we talk about why we have the Revolutionary War, because that mean old king was taking all of our money and being, okay? A tyrant, it's Tyrannosaurus Rex, right? The same root word. The tyranny of the urgent. And here's what that means. That means that if you have a lot of different needs, and some of them are important, but they're long-term things, like your health. Your health is important, right? But it's a long-term kind of a deal. If you have important long-term needs, and you have other needs that are not as important, but they're very short-term, you feel them, that you tend to focus on what's urgent instead of what's important. If you've ever worked in an office and you have like this big report you need to get done, but people keep popping in the door to ask, hey, I'm going for a coffee run. Do you want 1 cream or 2 in your coffee? Okay, it's annoying to get distracted. But we have this tendency to focus on the things that are just visible and just tangible today. In a lot of ways, especially financially. Several weeks ago now, we talked about how your brain is built. And we said that your brain is built in some different systems, and sort of that middle system in your brain is the one you share with other mammals on the planet. We call it the dog brain. It's the part of your brain that's primarily responsible for your decisions and your decision making, for your cravings and desires. And that part of your brain is laser focused on what is urgent right here and now. It's not so concerned about financial things that are in the future. It's concerned about things right now. And see, the stuff that's off in the distance, you can put that off a little bit and it'll still be okay today. Okay? You can put off spending time with your kids and they will still be your kids tomorrow. You can put off exercising today and you won't have a heart attack tomorrow. Probably. Okay? Hopefully not. Okay? You can put off saving for retirement and you won't be broke tomorrow. But some of these big financial things, if you keep putting them off and putting them off and putting them off, they never get there and you end up in trouble. Well, the problem is the dog brain, that we are designed, we are naturally inclined to just pay attention to the here and now. And it's the same in America today as probably it's been for thousands of years. But in America today, 78% of Americans, recent poll, 78% of Americans feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck. Okay? If you've ever had something, a bill due, or the kids need a check for this for marching band, or this thing breaks, or the vet bill, and it costs how much to do the shot for worms? Shouldn't we just let the dog have worms? What? Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. If you've ever had one of those come up and you've said, well, I can pay you on Friday when I get my check. You know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. Okay. Most of America lives that way. It's not, oh yeah, no problem. It's, okay, as soon as I get that next pay, as soon as maybe for you it's every other week, or as soon as I close this next job or this next sale. Paycheck to paycheck. The problem is, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you are only ever one unexpected expense from catastrophe. Because it doesn't take a whole lot to push you over the edge if there's no margin. If you're standing right on the edge, it doesn't take someone to just run up and shove you. You just lose your balance a little bit. And, okay? You don't want that financially. That's not good. That's not good. And looking only today will throw a monkey wrench in your plans. I said, it will. Yeah, here's how living paycheck to paycheck messes up this wonderful plan that you've been working on. Okay? You say, less is more, right? I need to cut back. I need to do less. I need to spend less. I need to take on less stuff that I need. But if you don't prepare for what you need, in the moment, you end up buying whatever is available. Okay? I planned ahead, but I messed things up, and I ended up buying expensive gas station food that gave me heartburn on Christmas Eve. That stinks. All right? We believe that stress is bad. Okay, let's just give an example here. All right? Anybody have a dog or a cat? Okay? Let's say that dog that you love most of the time, sees a squirrel and jumps off the back porch and breaks its leg. Oh, man, are you kidding me? You have to take the dog in to the vet. All right? If you've ever taken a dog into the vet, you know, they're trying to pay back vet medical school really hard because, oh my goodness, what? All right? So here's the thing. If you're living paycheck to paycheck and the dog is whimpering on the table, you're not going to be like, well, tough it out, Fido, right? You're going to do it, but you're not paying the vet with cash. You're paying the vet with Visa. Stress is bad. Well, I'm trying not to do this, but I don't have space. And then you're watching this thing, and you'd be like, man, people don't even have socks? This is America. We got to do something about that. We can change that. Our missionary families I know what the inflation rate is in America, and the cash exchange rate in their country, they're struggling. We got to come in and help them. And you want to help them, but you got to pay for the vet bill. And now I don't even know how I'm going to make it paycheck to paycheck because now I got to pay Visa some more. I can't be generous. Throws a monkey wrench in everything that you're doing. That's why God says it's a bad idea. And it's not something new. We know it's something that's been going on for thousands of years because thousands of years ago, God shared some wisdom with humanity. And he had somebody write it down. And thank God it's still in the Bible and we can read it today. So let me show you what God says about tomorrow mattering. Proverbs 21:20. Let's put it up on the screens. It says, wise people. Everybody say wise people.
Wise people.
That's who we want to be, right? Wise, yes. Wise people live in wealth and luxury. And the way the Proverbs works, they usually juxtapose two things to show you the contrast. Okay? Wise people live in wealth and luxury, but stupid people, everybody say stupid people.
Stupid people.
Okay, this is fun. Let's see what those other stupid people are doing, and then we'll laugh at them. Right? What do they do? Stupid people, the Bible says, I didn't make this up, stupid people spend their money as fast as they get it. Oh. Ow. Everybody say ow. I didn't know Pastor Chris was going to step on my toes at church today. I should have slept in today. I didn't make this up. I didn't write this. He did. Here's what he said. Now, different translations of wealth and luxury, there's this idea, the way that they determined in that culture wealth and luxury was that you had stockpiles of supplies laid up in a storehouse for when you need them. That was how they determined wealthy. Wealthy was, I got a bunch of cattle, I got a bunch of grain in the barn, I got a bunch of stuff for when I need it. And God said, it's wise to have that, but it's stupid to spend everything you have as soon as you get it. Well, that's a little insulting. The majority of Americans live that way. I'll bet you the majority of the Israelite clans living in Israel at that time when he said that were living that way, which is why he said, hey, don't be stupid. Don't monkey wrench yourself. God has a logic brain plan for tomorrow so that you don't mess up all of your hard work. And it starts with margin. So write this down. The first thing you need to do, if you don't want to monkey wrench yourself, you need to live within your means. You need to live within your means. Anybody have a dad or granddad that ever said that to you? Oh, you need to live within your means, boy. Okay? Some of you guys, a few of you, if you didn't, let me be the dad figure to tell you, there's wisdom in living within your means. What does that mean, Chris? That means that you figure out how much you make, how much you and your spouse make, how much you and your buddy who you're sharing the apartment with make. You figure out how much you make, and then you adjust your level of living to what your income is. Okay? Because too many of us have made this mistake. I made this mistake. I moved out of the house. I went and got a college degree, college-educated man. 22 years old, I get my first real job, and I want to have the same standard of living as mom and dad who are in their later 40s or 50s have. Anybody else make that mistake? I want to have the same kind of couch they do. I want to have the same size house they do. I want to drive the same kind of car they do. And in America, you can. It just means that you have to go savagely into debt to do it. And it's really fun until those bills start rolling in, and then you realize this is foolish. And we all have a tendency to want to spend everything we have as soon as we get it. If you've ever gotten your paycheck on Friday and by Sunday you were broke, you know what this feels like. You have to make margin. Okay, write this down. Before you can save for tomorrow, you need to create margin today. Okay? The key to not monkey wrenching yourself is to save for tomorrow. Okay? The reality is, if the guy on the stage holding a wrench, looking menacing with the wrench in his hand, okay, if that guy is saying, well, you can fix the problem, just save up, and you have no margin, you're like, whatever, dude. It's easy for you. I don't have any extra. Where's Dirk? Where am I going to come up with an emergency fund? Where's it going to come from? Here's where it's going to come from. It's going to come from margin in your life as you live within your means. Now, that's not fun today, and the dog brain doesn't like that today, but tomorrow it helps. Here's a reality that is hard to reconcile, and I don't say this to be offensive to you if you're in this mode. Please hear me. I say this as a former card-carrying member of Paycheck to Paycheck Club, okay? Thank God I found my way out with his help. I want to help you to find your way out. Having margin in your life is almost never an income problem. It is almost always a budget problem. Because more income doesn't fix it. Yeah, it does. No, it doesn't. Think about this. Let's do a little math, okay? 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. That means that at least some of the Americans who make a lot more than you are living paycheck to paycheck. Do you know what the 78th, let's be accurate. Do you know what the 78th percentile is in America? Okay, that's you make more than 78% of people. It's $145,000. So here's the reality. Not everyone who makes less than that is living paycheck to paycheck. That means there are people in America today who are making more than $145,000, and they also are just barely making it paycheck to paycheck. You say, well, that's depressing. I don't like that. No. That should be reassuring. It's not that I have to find a way to make $145K to get out of this. It's that I have to start living within my means and creating margin. Okay? It's not easy, okay? But you have to do that. How do I create margin, Chris? Okay, well, for starters, look at your budget and see what you're spending. I will bet you, if you go and do a CSI investigation on what you spent last month, there's probably something you signed up for in 2017 that you didn't realize was still pinging you for $16.99 every month. You know, true story. We once moved, and we had one of those subscriptions where they send you the razors and the shaving cream in the mail every month. It was more than a year later, and we realized they were still sending it every month to the people we sold our house to. I hope they like it. House gift. Canceling that, dude. Okay. Here's one that will really help. Okay, this is practical. This was me. You want to get margin fast. Get good at cooking. Seriously. The average American, average in America, spends $166 per person per month eating out. And if you've been to McDonald's lately, that number's probably not high enough. Okay? You can save a lot of money just by learning how, and it's better. It tastes better, and it's better for you. Okay? Create margin. You have to create margin. Don't be normal. Dave Ramsey says this a lot, so credit to Dave. Don't be normal. Normal is broke. Be weird. Okay? Be weird. Be the one who buys the used car and drives it around. Be the one who finds the name brand clothes at Goodwill. Be the one who gets on YouTube and figures out how to change the alternator instead of paying the other guy. Just find ways, okay? Margin, all right? Once you get that, here's the next thing you need to do. Write this down. You need to plan for disaster. You need to plan for it because it's coming. It's not if, it's when. Well, that's depressing too. I don't think I'll like this guy. You know what else is depressing? Bankruptcy. That's depressing. You know what else is depressing? Changing your phone number and having to text everyone, this is my new flip phone, because you had to get a third phone number because the debt collectors found the last two. It's depressing. And disaster is coming. We don't know how, we don't know when, but we know that something is going to break. And when it is, we know it's going to be expensive. And you want to be ready for it. Let me give you another juxtaposition from Proverbs. Proverbs 6, 6, and 11. And again, here's how God presents wisdom. He shows two things so you can see the differences, so you can see the contrast and choose the better option. Proverbs 6, 6 through 11. Lazy people should learn a lesson from the way ants live. Ants? What is this, a center for ants? How are they going to learn if they can't fit inside the building? Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. I do not endorse everything in that movie, just in case, okay? Take a lesson from ants. Here's what ants do, God says. He says they store up food during the summer, getting ready for winter, okay? When they have enough, when times are good, they don't eat everything that they bring in. This is true. Ants will store up and they will stockpile extra food all summer long, all summer long. Well, couldn't you eat that and get nice and fat and happy? You could, but they're storing it up all summer, all summer, all summer because they instinctively know that a season is coming where they can't go out and find easy food. And when the bad times come, Mama said there'd be days like this, there'd be days like this, Mama said. And they're ready. Ants are ready. Okay, here's the juxtaposition. He says, be like ants. Don't be like this guy. How long is a lazy man going to lie around? When is he ever going to get up? Some of you guys are like, they're writing that about my ex-husband, right? When is he ever going to get up? I'll just take a short nap, he says. I'll fold my hands and rest a while. But while he sleeps, listen to this, while he sleeps, poverty will attack him like an armed robber. Here's what he's trying to say. If you don't plan ahead, if you just kind of coast, poverty will come and attack you like an armed robber and take the stuff that you've worked so hard to build. Disaster is coming. Let me show you, all right? Let's have a response time for those who are in the room. And you guys at home, you can yell it too. I can't hear you, but it make you feel better, okay? Somebody tell me, in the room, something that has broken in the last 30 days. Washer? Dishwasher. What else? Car. What else? Somebody else. Furnace. Somebody else. What? Me? Yeah, okay. So just think about this. In this cross-section of people, we've had a furnace, a dishwasher, a washer, a car. That's not even to take into account all the technological stuff that's probably broken in our, okay? That's just this room. That's just in the last 30 days. That's expensive stuff. Have you priced a furnace out lately? No? Frank, is that cheap or expensive? Expensive. Okay? It's going to come. It's not if, it's when. Here's what's cool. When you plan ahead, write this down. This is true. Man, hope you get this. When you plan ahead, it's not a crisis, it's an inconvenience. When you plan ahead, okay, if the furnace breaks and you're not ready for it and you're living paycheck to paycheck, and Covenant comes in and puts a brand new one in, they're awesome guys, but they need to make a living too. And they're like, okay, here's how much it costs us to buy this furnace and put it in you're like, how am I going to pay for that? That's a bad space to be in. Now, it is never fun to have a furnace break and to buy a new one. That's never a happy day. But I, for one, I don't know about you, I have never lost an hour of sleep in my life for an inconvenience. If it's in the bank, it's like, man, that's a bummer, but I write the check, it's done. When you plan ahead, you don't have stress, and stress is bad. So plan for the unexpected. Here's what else. You need to plan for the stuff that you can expect, because not every financial big thing is unexpected. Write this down. You need to save for the big stuff. You need to save up ahead of time for the big stuff. Okay. I, like many of you, was a new parent once. And I know better now, but I remember that first time when my oldest son, Ethan, kind of hit that growth spurt through the summer. And we got out the clothes for school or for preschool, and the pants were like this. Okay? Like, what happened? Right? Mom and I have shocked Pikachu face. Do we have that? Can we put that up there? What? How did this happen? Okay? There are times, and first-time parents, that's okay. You don't know until that first summer. You're like, oh my goodness, it's too cold to wear shorts. What are we going to do? Okay? But after that first time, we cannot come in with a high schooler now and open up the boxes, and when the things don't fit, we go, oh, right? We know better. We know it's coming. We know we need to buy school clothes for the fall, every single fall. Okay? We know that. There are things big expenses that you know are coming, and you need to plan ahead for those. What kinds of things? Things like college or trade school for your kids. Things like, who in here has a daughter that's in grade school or preschool or high school? Anybody? Okay. I have two. Okay. You know what I know? One day, a long time from now, they're going to meet that special guy. And they're going to say, Dad, I want all this stuff in my wedding. Will you please give me the dream wedding? And I'll be like, okay. Right? It's coming. It's coming. Retirement is coming. It's not today, but someday you're going to want to actually retire and go play golf and go visit your grandkids and go do these other fun things. Retired people are busy, but they're not busy doing work. There's stuff that's coming down the line, and you need to plan ahead for it. You need to plan ahead for it. Listen to what Proverbs 13:11 says. It says, dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. God said, I have a way for you to build up wealth. It's believing that tomorrow matters. It's stockpiling a little bit at a time. Right? He said, pay attention to how the ants do it. They put just a little bit at a time, but they do it consistently. And when the bad times come, when winter comes, they have enough. So let me give you an equation, because some of you guys love math. Okay? Let me give you a simple equation from the Bible for wealth. It makes great monkey wrench repellent. Here's the wise way to do it. We want to flex that logic brain. Put that up on the screens. It goes like this. Money plus consistency plus time equals wealth. Now, I know there are at least a few of you who barely got by college or high school algebra by the skin of your teeth, and you're getting a little anxious right now. It's okay. We gave you you don't have to resolve it. It's already on the screen. Just write it down. Money plus consistency plus time equals wealth. If you put a little back at a time, then when the big stuff comes, it's not so big. You're ready for it. It's like a term paper. Because I know all of you guys, when at the beginning of the semester, the teacher said, at the end of the semester, we're going to have a 12-page paper. Start studying now. And I know that all of you guys started studying that day, a little bit at a time. for that. Some of you guys were like coffee all night long the night before. Here's the reality, okay? I'm in graduate school right now. I'm studying for a paper right now. There comes a time when you cannot, in 24 hours, read enough content to write a paper. You have to take little bites at a time. Little bite, little bite, little bite. Let me show you how this works out. I will use myself as a case study, okay? I am 40 years old, and I do want to retire someday so that I can be busy doing stuff that I don't get paid for. I know how that goes, but I want to retire. Average, the retirement age right now, let's say 67. All right, so I got a little time. I looked this week at my budget as I prepared for this, and I realized I spend $38 a month on streaming services, and I spend $80 a month eating food from Taco John's and Jimmy John's. Apparently, I like food with the name John in the title. It's a good thing there's not Long John Silver's here. I would probably be broke, okay? But potato olays are good, okay? So $80 a month I spent on that. And so I want to retire someday. So let's say, well, surely out of those two things, I can carve out $50 a month. And if I put that back, I'll have something when I retire. Here's something cool. If I start putting $50 a month in a bank account and I don't touch it, or let me say not bank account, if I invest it wisely and get the average return, which is about 11-12% over the long haul, I invest $50 a month every month until I retire. When I retire, I'll have $100,000 parked in the bank waiting for me. That's cool. Yeah. Now, Julie, that is cool, but how many people who are currently retired are like, amateurs, right? $100,000 sounds great unless you plan on living to like 87, right? No, I got to do better. Because I've talked to some retired folks who are like, do it now, please. It's like that one scene where the Flash shows up to like the past Batman. He's like, it's too soon, okay? He's trying to go back in time and warn you. I lost everybody. There's a scene with one of those. Yeah, Ryan's with me. Okay, so I said, well, that's not enough. I need more than $100,000. There are two ways that would get me more money. One of those is saving more every month. So let's say I'm going to tighten the belt all the way. I'm going to get rid of all the streaming services. I'm never going to another fast food place with the name John in it. I will give up potato olays for my retirement. If I saved all of that money, $128 a month, I'd have about $250,000 when I retire. Better. Still not ideal, right? Here's what would be better. Here's what would be best. If I could go into a time machine and I could go back to 22-year-old Chris who wanted to live just like mom and dad, and if I could tell him, save just $50 a month now and invest it every month until you retire, okay? That's where the difference is, right? Let me show you how the math works. At 40 years old, if I put $50 a month now, I'd have $100,000 when I retire. If I started at 22 and did the same amount per month, I'd have $750,000 when I retire. Now we're talking. Now we're getting close there. Now I can have all the potato olays I want. Okay? Let me in all seriousness, a lot of our young people sit right over here, okay? Hear the word of wisdom from somebody who is 40 and is trying to play catch up. Start saving now. Start investing now. 401k is your friend. And don't pull some of it out to buy something. Just leave it in there, okay? Because money accumulated over time is the way to do it. So Ethan comes back up to finish. It's hard because you have to tell the dog brain part of you no. You have to tell the one that sees the immediate stuff no to make margin. And when you have that margin, the very first thing that you're going to want to do for it is see, what can I get on payments for $50 a month? Okay? Don't do that. Save some in the bank because disaster is coming like an armed robber and you don't want to monkey wrench yourself. You want to have enough. So you got to think ahead. You have to, okay, start saving for Christmas. Christmas in July, maybe you start saving a little Christmas cash in July. It's a lot better than trying to pay it off in January. Okay, if you have kids and you can tell the teeth are not quite spaced right, Save a little for braces every Friday, because one day those things are coming and those are not cheap either. Okay? You want to be ready. You want to be ready. Let me wrap up with this. Okay? We asked earlier about what broke in the last 30 days for you. True story, not making it up. No extra spice on the cooking. Okay? In the last 30 days, my car broke, my van broke, a different part of my van broke. True story. One of my kids' teeth broke. Okay? It's a lot of broken stuff in 30 days. A lot of expensive stuff. Do you know what's not broke? Me. I do not enjoy spending money on repairing cars. I do not enjoy spending money on fixing broken teeth. I don't like that. But I have not lost a moment of sleep over that. Because a decade ago, I was right where many of you are, and I was just getting by, and I had just enough to make it. But I heeded God's wisdom, and I said, all right, for a season, I'm going to, okay, and we got serious about it. We sold the house, and we moved into an apartment to save money. We sold the car, and we bought an older car to save money. I learned how to cook instead of eating out to save money. We created as much margin as we could. And there were times when I didn't do it well, but more often than not, I put God first and I gave and I was generous, but I also took an amount and I said, this I'm not going to spend, this I'm going to save. Okay? And it wasn't always every paycheck. Okay? We do our taxes. You get a tax return. And instead of going out and spending all of it, we said, a portion of this we need to save for tomorrow because something's coming. You know, we get, well, we're going to give you a raise at work. Okay. And instead of saying immediately, let's ramp up all of the payments, we say, wait, maybe I can save a little of this back on the side. And I'm not close to where I want to be for my retirement portfolio, but I'm getting there. And you can get there. And God wants you to live with monkey wrench repellent. He wants you to live like the wise person who has stockpiles of stuff for when the bad times come, so that when the bad times come, it's inconvenient, it's not a crisis. Because you know what else has not happened in the last 30 days? I have not gotten into a fight with my wife over how we're going to pay for this. I have not screened a call because I know it's a debt collector. I haven't done that in the last 30 days. And I haven't driven a broken down car we fixed it. If that had happened, if the same thing had happened to me 10 years ago when I was just making it, I would have been carpooling or riding a bike to work, and we would have been looking for a rock and an ice skate for the bad tooth problem. Okay, worked for Castaway. Right? Okay, not really. Poor Ethan. No, the reality was we would have gone severely into debt to fix that thing, is whatever it takes. Listen, that's normal. Don't be normal. God wants you to be wise. Don't live foolishly. Save some. Create margin. It's painful, but you can do it. You can do it. And in the long run, it's better. It will pay off. Tomorrow matters. So plan ahead and don't monkey wrench yourself. Okay? Start saving today. Hey, this is Pastor Chris again. Thanks for listening. If today's talk was helpful in your spiritual life, odds are there's someone you know who could benefit from it. Take a minute right now to share it with them. And if you live in the area, come try out a service in person, because church is more fun with friends. See you next time.